Welcome, guys. Welcome. As per usual, I am getting the YouTube stream set up. And we should be good. All right. Hi, all in stage chat center. Jay, Mr. Panda, Ultra. Good seeing you guys. Host is here with us. Ala, Darren, YL Official, Burner, McFly, One Locked Sphere. Welcome, y'all. Well, how's everyone's week going? Wendy. I have some sparkling water here, but tea will come after the AMA today. Indeed. All right. Well, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. Couple of things here. Sorry, just getting things finished set up here. Okay, we should be good. So, YL Sphere's blue chip yield continues to be in the double digits. I think that is awesome. And I know there's been a lot of issues and concern about price, of course, but remember that there is a dynamic that as the price of Sphere falls, the variable APR will increase in a way to compensate for that, and vice versa. So that does help provide some sustainable yield for those who yield lock, and also some incentive for those to yield lock as well. Though obviously, a lot of other things go into that decision. Got some new vaults on Dyson. We saw the My USDC vault going up, and also the USD Plus ETS Gamma vault of overnight finance through Solid Lizard. And I plan to make a video about that for Friday because it's quite an interesting vault, right? It's not an ordinary liquidity pool because of the way that USD Plus and ETS Gamma especially works. It's quite a different mechanism. It's along the same types of lines as what we're interested in, right? With creating capital efficiency. So ETS Gamma's all of the ETS through overnight are quite interesting products. There was an announcement about a small increase in performance fees on the SP Sliz pool and also stable pools. That's to help build some more governance for Dyson. And that, of course, will allow Dyson to provide even greater boosts over time on those vaults, because all of the VE Sliz that it accumulates can be used to vote on different pools, build different vaults, and provide amplified yield for yield farmers. So, even with those small increases in performance fees, Dyson's still able to offer the highest yields possible thanks to that governance power. Question in chat by McFly: what tokens are part of that ETS, the Gamma ETS? Specifically for ETS Gamma, it is you use USDC to mint it 1-to-1, and you can redeem 1-to-1 back to USDC, and it will take a portion of that USDC, put it up as collateral, and then borrow wrapped ETH. And then it will pair the WETH with the remaining USDC, deposit that on Solid Lizard, earn the yield, and provide the yield to the ETS holder as a rebase. And that's all done within the contract. Yeah, so it's a pretty neat way to earn higher, take higher risk, right? Because within the position, you're involving collateralization, borrowing, and of course, your half of the position is in wrapped ETH, but it offers higher yield on the stable asset. And then, of course, now that you compare that with USD Plus to earn even additional yield through Solid Lizard, it's just kind of yield on yield on yield. Pretty neat way to kind of pull things together. I did want to clarify something for those wondering about performance fees. It's just a portion taken from the yield itself. It's not from deposits or withdrawals. So this makes it such that Dyson only earns its fee if it's doing its job correctly, and the vault users are earning yield. So follow-up question from McFly in stage chat about the ETS. Is there ETS for Uniswap v3? I would have to check on Overnight Finance's page. I don't think so, but ultimately that would be up to them to create, right? That's their strategy. Yeah. So if you go to Overnight.finance, you can see the different ETSs available. They also have specific caps. Pandu says nope, no ETS for Uni v3. There's also specific investment caps for these ETSs because of the limitations on borrowing, lending, of course, the interest on the borrowing, and the availability of yield. So in order to maintain it as competitive, there are caps on how much can be invested. But the ability to trade it, add the LP through Solid Lizard, kind of makes it, opens it up for more people. All right. Questions from Wenlocked Spongy in stage chat. Any plans on Kronos Exchange? They have interesting concept, opens up a lot of opportunities. If you're referring to the Kronos DEX, yes, we announced our partnership with them not too long ago. So that will be coming, and more on that will be announced in due time. All right. A couple other points here, and then I'll be able to get to the stage questions from last time. So the LUSD DAI pool has been discontinued. And no emissions are being put into it by Dyson. So if you have deposited there, please withdraw your liquidity and deposit it in other vaults, such as LUSD USDC and or LUSD USDT. Those vaults are both incentivized pools on Dyson via Solid Lizard, but if you have anything in LUSD DAI, please withdraw it, as it is no longer earning yield. Is Surma here? Let me check the look and see. Do I see a wild Surma? I don't see a wild Surma. That's okay. Surma created an awesome Sphere Analytics dashboard. If you haven't seen it yet, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and post it in stage board because I love it. Yes, exactly. So there you go. Check out stage board. Really cool dashboard that includes the total circulating supply, a beautiful pie chart breakdown of the distribution of that total supply, different holder ranks, various YL Sphere metrics, and even metrics on Sphere games. And Surma mentioned that there should be more things added over time. So this is also a good time to remind everyone that if you are still staked in Sphere games, please first claim any remaining drip rewards you might have, and then withdraw your T-Sphere back to Sphere. At this point, this can be done 100% tax-free. Sphere Games is deprecated, so there is no benefit to holding T-Sphere. But regardless, huge shout out to Surma for the hard work that has and continues to go into these analytics, because I think they're awesome. You've done a good job. Great job, really. Very good. So those were the main things this week I wanted to cover, talk about. And then we have quite a few different questions with some interesting things and points and comments. So We'll get into it, and hopefully it can bring on some discussion over here in stage chat. All right, so for the first question by Perennial in stage questions, let's go all the way up here. Where is it? Uh-oh. Okay, there it is. When will Sphere become deflationary again? We currently have no burn mechanic active, and these are things most effective while the price is low. So the team is always looking for ways to bring value to Sphere holders, and will always try to prioritize holders who are looking to hold Sphere in the long term. So that is why the focus of Sphere's revenue generation is going towards YL Sphere, as opposed to buyback burning at this point in time. In a broad sense, burning tends to favor people who are looking to sell in the short term, although it also involves people in the long term, of course, too, right? But it's also not necessarily the case that burning while prices are low is most effective. We've discussed this before, but one way of thinking of it, and there's other factors involved, is that basically all buying in a bear market, or even just in a downtrend within Sphere itself, is seen as another opportunity to sell. But buying in a bull market is seen as another opportunity to buy. So that's just one reason that it's not always necessarily most effective to burn when prices are low. But beyond that, and per the Sphere announcement made on February 10th, burns will come back at the team's discretion, and possibly under a different concept. Thank you, Ultra, for linking that. But for now, the focus is on using ecosystem revenue to provide yield to those who believe in the long-term vision of Sphere. So it kind of comes down to allocation of treasury resources, which I personally think that our team has done a very good job at managing the treasury throughout this bear market, where there have been other projects that have gone under due to the rough market conditions. Sphere has been able to twist and turn and run with the blows and still be active and even thriving to many degrees, because we are still hiring and onboarding people into Sphere. And for example, with the USDC DPEG, I know of projects who, lost money on that, either from trying to preserve capital, switching over to USDT, whatever it might have been. Sphere was able to actually capitalize on that, maintain, conviction on USDC itself, kind of read into the details instead of the fear, and was able to profit on that. So I think I went on a rant there, but I believe that answers your question. I'm just getting caught up on stage chat here. Can we get a tweet reminder sent out from the official disc account about the Sphere Games withdrawals? Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That could probably be pretty helpful. I imagine we will always have some amount of Sphere in Sphere Games, because I just don't think that every single person will necessarily remember to even check and see. But hopefully we can. Good. All right, next stage question is from Tons. If Sliz airdrops ARB to VE Sliz, will Dyson pass it down to SP Sliz lockers, including those in the SP Sliz pool? Very interesting question. Just for some background, ARB is the native governance token to Arbitrum, and the purpose of that token is to decentralize Arbitrum for future development decisions, future governance. So there's various token distributions. 42% will go to the DAO treasury, 27% will go to the team and advertisers, 17.5% will go to investors, and 12% will go to users. And then only 1% will go to ecosystem DAOs. There will be a total of 10 billion total supply of ARB and maximum annual inflation rate of 2%. There are quite a few different criteria that makes one eligible to receive some ARB tokens, but recall the entire point of ARB is to use them to partake in Arbitrum's governance process. So with all that background aside, if an airdrop does happen, we will certainly be able to discuss what can be done with those tokens. But in the meantime, we continue to be very interested in Arbitrum in general, right? We're building these vaults, building these pools, and we think that the introduction of ARB governance will be a very positive thing for the VE33 protocols. Hey, there's Surma. Yes, very, very well done on the dashboard. There's a link in stage board to that dashboard. Very good, very good. This next question's pretty straightforward. Someone was asking if there's a Dyson chat. This is Blibs. And yes, indeed, there is a separate Dyson chat for all Dyson related discussions. So after joining the Sphere Discord, be sure to go to Select Project and click the emoji for Dyson. And that will give you access to Dyson's channels within the Sphere Discord. So if you need any assistance, there are video tutorials under the Start Here playlist on YouTube. But also feel free to reach out on the Sphere chat to any of the moderators for assistance as well. Actually, two people asked that. Blibs asked and OGOG asked, is there a Dyson chat? So, this kind of goes for everyone too, if you don't mind. If you do see people coming into stage chat, as the ecosystem expands and they're curious how do they gain access to these different chats, please feel free to direct them. Primarily, you would want to direct them to Select Project. And that is where they can, click the emoji, gain access to the channels, gain access to the different discords. So there you go, Pandu. Thank you. Primarily we will see this when, for example, a new vault is released, or a new partnership is announced, new partnership vaults are released. We see some people coming into the Sphere Discord looking to ask questions, explore. So that is primarily where we will get people coming in asking these different questions. All right. So take a pause on the stage questions for a moment. Burner asked, any thoughts on a wrapped Sphere token on Arbitrum in stage chat? Just thinking out loud. I know there's been questions about this in the past. And based on my understanding of past conversations, the plan is to maintain Sphere on the Polygon network with respect to, Sphere v3, VE Sphere, SP Sphere, and those sorts of things. So, SP Sphere itself, and VE Sphere, these are going to be the yield-bearing aspects of Sphere. And as far as I know right now, they plan to be on Polygon, on the Polygon network. If it makes sense to expand beyond that, I'm sure that the discussion could occur. And we said this before, we, with the exception of a couple things, there's not much that we wouldn't consider, at least. And that's always something that that could be considered. Yeah, having an LP of Sphere on Arbitrum could be lucrative. Not saying that it couldn't. Just like with Goss, for example, if you remember a while back, during that partnership AMA, the reason that Goss has all of the Sphere tokens it has, besides the burning that they did, was to use that Sphere in an LP. Just like how Sphere will be using the gang tokens it receives to create gang LPs. So I would say, I don't have anything official, but in my mind, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Oh snap! Look at that. Surma just shared in stage chat a list of Arbitrum DAO's airdrops, so we can take a look at that. In the meantime, let me go on to the next stage question, which is by Toki. Where is that? There you are. How has hiring been going? Any new devs? It's amazing that such a small team has been building like crazy and yet can maintain all the existing projects. I think maintenance will become increasingly difficult without more help. Yeah, so good question, and good thoughts about the ecosystem. So hiring has been going very well so far, actually, with the market being as bad as it has been. Many projects were unfortunately forced to drive away a lot of talent. But we have been very fortunate to be able to offer those individuals a home within the Sphere ecosystem. So it's kind of pros and cons of the market being where it is. We were able to, onboard these different devs, but they had to leave where they were. So in general, we're still going through the swing of our current development cycle with Dyson releasing new vaults, new partnerships, and of course with Sphere Lend and Preon still to be released. We have Covenant further beyond that with Sphere V3. And we recognize that each new element will require time and effort for proper maintenance. So again, we are in the fortunate position that we are to be able to have our doors open to talented devs. Yeah, and we can always ask Chat GPT to create contracts as well. All right, very good, very good. Getting through these questions pretty nicely today. Next up is Srini. Where are you? There you are. Since Sphere is building governance over Tetu, Balancer, Sterling, Sliz, other Dyson partnerships, will these be distributed as part of Yield for VE when that comes out? So good thought. I see that you're starting to piece together just how powerful VE Sphere can be for those who are willing to lock their sphere. This has been the vision of Sphere since the beginning, right? The governance kingpin of DeFi. The entire liquid wrapper, liquid market solution for Dyson has gotten a lot of interest from different projects, very sought after, and it's creating some very strong incentives, as well as some very strong and holding pegs, which of course draws the attention of other projects and people. VE Sphere is still a ways away, but the foundation is being built to significantly reward VE Sphere holders. And yield from the entire ecosystem will be funneled to VE Spherians, but it's also important to use that yield to continue to build governance. And the breakdown of how that yield is provided and how ecosystem yield is distributed to VE Sphere / governance / burns will have to be ironed out over time. But right now, the focus is on building out those foundations, forming those partnerships, and essentially establishing the entire ecosystem and kind of one piece at a time. But it's a good question, and it shows some of that forward thinking in terms of the vision for Sphere. So it's a good question. Mr. Ton, is there any way to help Sphere price when it's on a downturn channel like we are in now? Unless you know a way to influence the minds of others. And each of us has a difficult time controlling our own actions and behaviors. So good luck on doing that for others. No, but you know what I mean. I mean, what can we do? We're still building. We're working to fix the bugs on Dyson that we are aware of, and that you guys have been very helpful at pointing out. And let's keep pushing things forward the way that we are building it, and the way that we know the Sphere ecosystem vision can be. and is becoming. Yes, Vars, very good point. I forgot. When dev pump price. All right. Let's see. Back to stage questions. Whoa. Okay, some additional questions coming in, but let me go up to Braves. Any solid marketing plan once Sphere out or Prion apart from Twitter and YouTube? Seems like a waste to have utilities that. Oh, I see. Seems like a waste basically to have this ecosystem that generates solid return, but nobody really knows about it. So in terms of marketing and having a solid plan, that has always been the plan. And we have some very good individuals working within the marketing team. Timely and impactful marketing that is directed at our target audience is what's going to be most important, but it will always cost money. So it's going to be important that we have the appropriate foundations in place such that that marketing can be worth the cost. And we are nearing the point when it will be time to do exactly that. You know, the plans have been outlined for a while and things are moving in the direction we want, but even so, the timing and cost awareness are the biggest factors when considering how and when to initiate those broader marketing plans. And I can't help but think back and talk again about the marketing during a bear market AMA, where marketing is a game of pivoting. Was probably one of the core messages and simplest message that I can bring back right now, is that marketing is a game of pivoting. So we were able to pivot and establish these different partnerships through Dyson and especially the liquid markets. And we're now starting to see those partnerships take fruition with these different vaults, with these different liquids wrapper solutions. So I think I wanted to talk about this, and I didn't know when to talk about it, but I think this is the best time. I think it's really hard for all of us to kind of maintain the patience of allowing the Sphere ecosystem to build into what we all see it eventually to be, right? The vision of the Sphere ecosystem. It takes a lot of time to develop and build out these things and have these different partnerships come to fruition, iron out the details within those partnerships as you're collaborating with other people. I mean, there's so much involved, and it can be very easy to lose patience, especially in a volatile market where things are either going down or going up, and the Sphere token is not necessarily following along with that. Right, there's a lot of emotion that can get channeled into that. It can be very easy to lose patience. But at the end of the day, that core vision that Sphere has had since the beginning has not changed. And we have come a long ways in just 1 year. And despite such interesting market conditions towards that goal, and we're still working very hard and see things moving the way that we want them to. So I do understand the impatience and the emotional frustration that we're seeing in a lot of the different chats coming up. But again, that core vision has not changed. We see things moving in the direction we want them to, and it is just a matter of time. But the when component can really drive people up the wall. So trying to allow that to unfold as it unfolds is going to be the best thing for your own mental health. All right, let me check in on stage chat. Mr. Ton, if still bear market, if price of Sphere continues its downturn movement, can you talk a little bit about it, if it has any impact on the project? How do you mean? I suppose it would have an impact on the project in the sense that as the price of Sphere drops, the variable APR of YL Sphere will increase, So it becomes more attractive for new users to come in and yield lock to earn that yield. Like a bond? Kind of. I mean, it's, if you think about it, like, I did a video on this, on how the variable APR changes with the price. But if, yeah, if price goes down, the returns are going to go up because you have the same, if you have the same amount of yield, but a lower price of a token, then that relative yield is going to increase. And the same is true with the opposite. If the price goes up, that yield is going to decrease, relatively speaking. But if you as you're holding YL Sphere, assuming that the available yield doesn't change, even if the variable APR changes, because the value of your tokens are increasing and decreasing, you'll get the same amount. I don't think I made any sense just now, but I explained it in a video. So that's always an option there. But long and short of it is, yes, if price goes down, the variable APR for YL Sphere will increase. And yes, ultimately, as Mr. Vane says, it's the same value received as you're holding YL Sphere. The main difference is in new people looking to come in for YL Sphere. A lower price is, of course, more attractive because the VAPR will go up. And yet, Panda mentioned it better than I did right now, is that it's the same yield in terms of USD value, but the APR goes up because the principal USD amount goes down. Hey, Ralph, welcome. Hope you're feeling okay. Good, good, good. All right. So I finished my rant. Unless there's any thoughts on that, we can go back to some of the stage questions because I got some more coming in as well. All right. I think I'll take the opportunity to head back to stage questions. And the next question we have is from Bard and Jester. What is Sphere for old investors now? Kind of an interesting question, but the short answer is about 11% APR in WMATIC, just for locking Sphere for 16 weeks. Or if you don't want to vote lock, you can pair 80% Sphere, 20% Matic, and earn about 40% APR in BAL tokens on Balancer. So basically what Sphere is for old investors is real yield in high quality crypto tokens for a pretty small commitment, especially if you provide liquidity. So it's not as flashy and degen as 99K APY, but it is actually sustainable. And we would argue that very few other tokens are doing anything as sustainable and straightforward as the yield that the real yield that you can obtain through YL Sphere. Also, I want to add to this, is kind of in line with my rant, is that the vision of Sphere has not changed since inception. Sphere is still building itself into the governance kingpin of DeFi. That's been on that front page since day one. It is one token that offers diversification of exposure, diversification of governance, and diversification of yield. But that ecosystem has to be built piece by piece. That's how we can provide so much capital efficiency, is by noticing these capital inefficiencies in the market and building on top of it to fill that space. And that's why the liquid markets are becoming so popular amongst these different dexes coming up. So we're in the process of doing exactly what we set out to do. On a whole, Sphere is still a startup in its early phases, and although we have made tremendous strides in the 1 year since our inception, we still have a long way to go. And as I mentioned, these things take time. Burner, I know I asked last week, was there anyone on the team that's willing to get involved in the many really good Twitter space roundtables? The audience, and these are often exactly the type of people Sphere is trying to attract. I volunteer, Mr. Tun. Um, yeah, there's still that discussion about Twitter and how we can best, use our resources to share what we're doing and what we're building. So it's not off the table, but there's nothing that's been formally decided in terms of how to best utilize Twitter. Besides, what we're doing now with the different posts from Dyson, from Sphere, these sorts of things. But one thing about these community AMAs that I keep going back to is that they're intended for the community, so they're intended for people who are in the project and have questions. So it's kind of a different approach, right? It's kind of a different what am I trying to say? I guess a different platform for interacting with you guys and reaching out. It's not necessarily intended as a marketing interaction, which the Twitter spaces might be more inclined to. So just a comment about that from my own thoughts with respect to these community AMAs specifically. Big missed opportunity to not get involved in some way. Yeah, and I think that is something that that we need to consider for sure. Okay. Rudo, where are you? You're the next question. Hey, is it possible to lend with Sphere token as collateral? So this is Sage Questions. This is currently not possible within the Sphere ecosystem, nor would it likely become available. And think of it this way. We want all internal elements of Sphere to be as synergistic as possible. And when you start offering the ability to place Sphere up as collateral within the ecosystem, you introduce a conflict of interest for the entire ecosystem's primary token, the Sphere token. And what I mean by that is when you provide a means for users to profit off of Sphere collateral liquidations, you introduce a conflict where people become incentivized to crash the price to force liquidations and profit from them. So it's a small conflict potentially, but for that reason alone, it's better to avoid this option and offer other ways for users to benefit from the ecosystem. And then remember too, as I mentioned, that the long-term vision of Sphere is to transition to those V3 tokenomics where users can yield lock their Sphere, the 8020 LP, into VE Sphere, which would be a governance token. So therefore, meta governance is the main focus at that stage. Oh, I think I missed a comment about Silicon Valley Bank. Just getting caught up in stage chat here. A decent alternative to banking. That that's a job for BTC. Yeah, it's kind of the job for all of crypto and DeFi. Well, I shouldn't say all of crypto because most people, when they think of crypto, they think of centralized exchanges. That is still the mindset of most people. When we say crypto, because we're here, we think of DeFi. And I do think that DeFi is a means of providing an alternative to banking. I mean, that is what it is. You are becoming your own bank and utilizing these different platforms to engage in these financial services with your own money, with your own assets. But as a whole, when people think crypto right now, they don't even know what DeFi is, right? So there's a lot of education still that needs to come, and there's also a lot of um, I guess validation. That's not the word I'm looking for. DeFi has to prove itself. It is quite young when it comes to financial, products and systems. DeFi is very young, so it needs to prove itself. Yes, Sphere is DeFi. The meta governance kingpin of DeFi. So I don't know about you, but when I even first mention crypto to someone, they go, "Oh, you're one of those people." And I have yet to actually talk to someone else, if they do know about crypto, who knows what decentralized finance is, what DeFi is. So we are quite a ways away before this starts to become more generalized knowledge. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad other people can relate, because when I say the crypto word, I get odd looks, and when I say DeFi, people are like, "I'm sorry, I don't speak that language." They have no idea what I'm talking about. Anywho, I digress. There's still more questions, so I'm gonna get to them. All right, Harambe, yes. Welcome back with the question about the Sphere Treasury. So, we've gotten this question many times before, and I recognize that it is a point of both tension and curiosity within the community, but I do not have concrete numbers to share with you at this time. This sort of thing comes down to a matter of time allocation and priorities, and in the meantime, the Treasury contracts are always publicly available in hashtag Sphere contracts. That's the point of the blockchain. I also realize, and we've talked about this before, that the multi-form dashboard is not accurate, and to some extent that is out of our hands as it's managed by Multifarm. But we also have an active management of the treasury that can make it difficult to track through Multifarm, so I don't blame them. But then don't forget that this is the same treasury management that has kept us not only alive but thriving during this bear market, and being able to hire people where other projects have fallen. And it's also the same treasury management that allowed us to quickly profit from the USDC DPEG. Now, what I do want to say, Harambe, is if you have any ideas specifically for how we could better handle these metrics, please create a suggestion within hashtag Sphere Ideas, and we can bring it into a more communal conversation. I think that'll probably be the best way forward with this, because it has come up so often and so frequently. Yeah, Mr. Ton, there is a I did make a simplified what is Sphere video. I don't know if it's as simplified as it could be, but it is a simplified introduction to Sphere and the ecosystem. It is available if you go into the Sphere YouTube under playlists. It's also in the hashtag welcome. Thank you, Surma. In the playlists, there's a start here playlist, and it's in that playlist. Even then, I mean, I know for myself, when I was introducing myself into DeFi, I'm a very self-driven person when it comes to learning about these things, and I was motivated to learn about it. And the learning curve is incredibly high. So when you have people who don't really care about finances in general, they don't really invest in the stock market, they just have their 401ks and leave it at that. I mean, they don't have motivation to learn about these things. So this is where the integration of crypto and DeFi into standard practices is going to take a very long time, in my opinion. And I think I've talked about this for a lot of rants today, guys. I'm just in a ranty mood. But my opinion is that these banking systems are going to just start adopting blockchain technologies and using them because they're far more efficient than anything else we have. And then they will be able to start advertising things to users like, instead of sending your money from bank A to bank B in 3 to 5 business days, they'll be like, oh, you can send it in 5 minutes. And that's kind of how I see this happening, because then the general public is like, oh, I'm going to use this bank because it's fast. It doesn't take any additional thought or reason from the general public to do something like that. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm in a ranty mood. I apologize. Back to stage questions because there's a few more here. McFly, does the Satin Cash LP wrapper still get the rewards from the LP? Yes. You're talking about the cash? Yes. So any and all rewards that VE Satin obtains, same with VE Sliz, is able to get forwarded to the Dyson Vault holders. So you still are able to get the rewards. But I think you're actually specifically referring to, what are you referring to? Still, yeah, it does. It does. And this that's actually listed on Satin's website. Is that Satin Cash LP? Oh yeah. So okay, you're referring to the wrapper. Just in general for VE Satin holders, they're still earning Satin emissions because they have an LP deposited, and they're still earning the cash rebases. Though recall that a portion of those rebases are going to auto bribe the vault, so that gets reflected back to within the Dyson vault as well. I think that was a very roundabout way of answering your question. Burner, the IMX Polygon partnership is a big step in the right direction. People using crypto in games without even knowing it. Yeah, that's another good point too. The realm of gaming entering into the crypto space, this whole concept, this whole idea of actually owning portions of the game. There was a discussion, and one of the examples was Fortnite and Fortnite skins. But if you were actually able to own that Fortnite skin, what would that look like? And that's kind of what crypto gaming is able to introduce. Yeah, Mr. Tun. I believe the actual launch is a week before that, the end of the month, but then the first epoch of actual emissions is the end of the month, March 31st, based on what I read on their Discord. That could have changed. Good. Okay. Sinner, do we have a rough estimate on how many devs work on Sphere and Sphere owned products? I thought I had answered this a few sessions ago, and I'm trying to rack my brain to remember what was said. And I don't recall. And I think it would take too much time to run through my old scripts. So I don't have a good answer for you right now, Sinner. I'm sorry. But I believe, at least previously, we provided an answer to that. Though I recognize at this point, that's likely been updated. Oh my, good vibes. Piggybacking on the treasury question. Personally, I do not handle the salaries, so I actually don't know specifically which treasury is being used to pay out. What will be the correct salary allocations for each month? These are tough questions. I don't have a good answer for you, except to say that it is all there on the blockchain. I'm sorry, good vibes. It's not something that I um, fully educate myself on, so I'm not able to provide a concrete answer for you. I know that's weak sauce, but I apologize. Sunsafe does sim sleep now. I think minimally, it depends on the day and it depends on what's happening. Um, with the release, when Dyson was gearing up to be launched, I know that he was not sleeping as much as he should have been. Yeah, man, Sinner. I mean, you guys ask good questions sometimes, and I'm human. Sometimes I just don't know the answer, and I apologize for that. Crypto Twitter space going on right now. Yeah, there's a lot involved with that. Good vibes. Who could verify the question? I can ring it around to Lilo and see if we can get a better answer. But it really falls back on what I said about Harambe's question, where it comes down to time allocation and priorities. And this also kind of rings into what Berner was saying. Our goal really is to set the foundation of the ecosystem. Um, I know there's a lot of things that people want to be able to see about these inner workings more easily, a very clear dashboard that sees everything fully transparent. That takes a lot of time to show. And what is the point of building that when we know we would have to constantly update it? Because right now we're working on building the very ecosystem that we would have to be showing the metrics for. You see what I mean? Like I know that it's a pain point and a lot of curiosity for it, but the focus right now is on number one, providing yield to YL Spherians, and then number two, continuing to expand into that through building out these different ecosystem projects. Oh, I see. I mean, blockchain don't lie, you know. If the blockchain, if it's there on the blockchain and it said it was done, it was done. I mean, there's no way to it's non-fungible. Um, if something was sent, if something was completed, it is going to be out there on the blockchain, and um, so whatever is there is accurate. And I know that is part of the problem too. I think is that having the finesse to be able to actually go through and dig through the different sphere contracts and understand them, and pull them together in a way that would make sense easily is difficult. I do understand that, but um, at the same time, they are there for those interested. Yeah, Cryptoholic, definitely not saying they're not important. Definitely not saying they're not important. But again, it goes back to having an ecosystem being built before we better show the details of that ecosystem. Otherwise, we will constantly be playing catch up on in terms of whatever metrics we create. Yeah, knowing what the costs are. Well, again, I don't have any concrete numbers, so I do apologize, but the only thing I can say is that the fact that we are expanding the team, opening doors to other devs, at the very least demonstrates that we're able to do so. Yeah, and that's also a fair point too, Ultra. Yeah. Cryptoholic, I wish I could give you more concrete answers, but I do think it comes down to that I'm not involved in the accounting, and I just don't really have the solid answers besides to say that the contracts are available, and um, it's public information for those who are able to, dig through those details. So I know it's a sour point. I would love to see things more clearly transparent as well. So I'm in that boat with you. But that's the best I can answer it at this time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Well, a nice bright shining end to this AMA. We're pretty much close. We have a couple minutes left. If people have other questions or comments. Yeah, I will again forward this to Lilo and see what other kind of guidance we can get. Yeah, Mr. Tun, does Sphere plan on keeping the Sphere LP boosted for foreseeable future? Definitely, definitely. We have the governance over Tetu, and um, through Tetu we have the governance over Balancer. So we have the means to continue to boost these pools. Nice. What's up, Sinner? I see a few people typing in stage chat, so we'll continue this a little bit over the hour. You're showing a partner deal. A certain text releases in 1 minute. Not necessarily. I think just one step at a time, and as things come forward via Twitter or the announcements, then we can talk about them more. Flare Decks partnership. Do we know when we'll get the VE NFT? Specifically when the VE NFT. I don't know specifically, but I believe it's either on launch or before launch. It should be, because how else would you then use the partner VE NFT to incentivize your pools? Yeah, and that's typical for these VE33 decks, is that the first week there are no emissions, and then the emissions start the week after. Yeah, I can certainly see if Lilo's available, but it does come down to that as well as Lilo's availability for these AMAs. But I will escalate myself as well and see what we can come up with for you. Indeed. All right. I think with that, I will end it. Really good questions this week, guys. You definitely stumped me with some of them. So I'll see what I can do about generating some guidance and giving some better answers to some of these. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a really great week, and look forward to talking with you all, or interacting with you all next time. All right, so until then, always remember, you matter for who you are, and have a good rest of your week. Take care now. Bye-bye.